Hey geeks, I'm back because guess what? Once Upon a Time is back for season 7. I know this video is coming out a little bit late. Didn't realize that they'd switched time slots, so I actually missed the first episode and had to watch it online. I'm gonna preface this by saying, one, there's gonna be spoilers, so beware of that, and two, I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel about the story going forward, because I'm kind of unsure how I feel about how they have things set up so far in this episode, the season premiere. It's called Hyperon Heights, and in we jump, I suppose. This is after Henry's done with high school. And apparently he rides motorcycles now. He tells, Regina, I'm not going to college. I need to find my own story. I'm done, I wrote your guys' story, and when I put it in the Sorcerer's Mansion, there's all these books full of other stories, from different time periods and different, places like Italy and France, and there's different versions of all these stories, and he wants to experience that for himself and find where he really belongs, kind of a average 18-year-old thought process of where do I belong. So he gets on this motorcycle and rides it in through a magic bean, which I'm starting to wonder, okay, where the fuck did he find the magic bean? Because there's not supposed to be any of those left. Plot hole. And then next thing you know, we see grown-up Henry riding the motorcycle through an enchanted forest of some sort. Because it's not the enchanted forest, it's a different realm. I'm wondering how the hell has he got gas still for that bike if he's been riding it everywhere. Another plot hole there, ABC. Ends up crashing into Cinderella's carriage and meets the new Cinderella. Different Cinderella, most definitely, played by Dania Ramirez. And he kind of finds himself a little bit attracted to her and does a little bit of flirty with her. And then she knocks his ass out and steals his motorcycle. His headless horse, if you will. How she was able to pick up how to drive it after just a brief, not even lesson from Henry, I'll never know. But we come to find out later on that she's there to kill the prince and not fall in love with the prince, but feels guilt over it and ends up not doing it, and then is killed by the big baddie of this particular part of Once Upon a Time, Lady Tremaine, who, if you don't know who that is, that's the evil stepmother of Cinderella. She's responsible for all of the turmoil that goes through her life. She ends up stabbing him in the back and then blaming it on Cinderella, so Cinderella's got to be on the move, so to speak. Then it picks up with where it last ended off last season, where little girl comes to his door and is like, hey, I'm your daughter. And he's like, no, you're not. And she's like, you gotta come to Hyperon Heights, Hyperion Heights, because, that's where the curse is and whatnot, and it's a place in Seattle. And, yeah. They introduce Regina's new persona, which is Ronnie, a barkeeper, a bartender with an attitude. I absolutely love her. I don't know how Ronnie's going to be playing in this. I don't know if she's still going to be the evil queen or what. but so far she's a good guy, it looks like. Um, Captain Hook is a police officer who wears a glove on his hand that normally has his hook, so I'm excited to find out what they're going to do with that. He ends up making detective, and his partner ends up being Rumple. And from a different scene earlier in the episode, we find out Rumple is, like, not all entirely on the up and up, so we'll see how that turns out. So yeah, this episode is leading into semi-familiar territory because there's a lot of similarities and parallel storytelling to the original premiere of Once Upon a Time. I like the idea of Lady Tremaine being the big villain because I always hated that bitch in the stories. In the Cinderella story, she was one of my favorite villains to hate. And she's a villain I don't see being redeemed at all. So I feel like they can take that for the long road. I don't see them redeeming her like they redeemed Regina. I'm not sure I agree with the casting on her. She's really, really annoying. But I like the idea of Lady Tremaine as the big bad. I'm very conflicted by this episode, so I'm going to give it a B- for a premiere. Although it did set up some things in interesting ways. We'll have to see how I feel about the next one. You'll probably get the next video in a day or two, because I still got to watch the second episode, and I will get that to you guys later. If you enjoyed this review, please, please, please hit that little button down there that says subscribe, punch that like button, and leave a comment on what you thought about the episode. Do you think that the show is going in the right direction with adult Henry, or do you think this is just a ploy to try and get it to go for a few more seasons? What did you think of the episode as a whole? Let me know down below. And with that, I will leave you till next time, Lady Geeks.